Hey, 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 hey. Andy Kershaw's Harley, surely. That's the Reverend Horton Heat, You Can't Get Away From Me, on Sub Pop Records from the LP The Full Custom Gospel Sounds Of. And here's a record that got a good slapping from Stephen Wells the other week in the NME. Fades in, rather. This is by Peach on Mad Minute Records. It's called Burn. I don't like records that fade in, I'll be perfectly honest with you, because you feel such a fool, you don't know when to stop talking. That's Peach and Burn on Mad Minute Records, and this is Orbit 3.
is black. Everywhere you look is black. Everywhere you look, there's a sun, it's black. Everywhere you look, is black.
Goodness me, this is one of those records, and obviously there are a lot of them about, where it's difficult to figure out exactly what is title and what is the name of the record label and who is the artiste and what the EP is called. But the combination is Instrumental Haze, Orbit 3, House Factory and Black Sun, and you can mix those up in any way that you wish. And all over Europe, tens of thousands of young people have been looking forward to our debut session from Truman's Water, and one fat middle-aged man as well. And here it comes. This is All Wet, west of Washington.
This passage is story, moves like a glacier, sounds like a vacuum, yawning egg that never complains, almost never. This is probably my fault and I should wait and take what's coming my way. Split fingers, summertime, the split fingers, sun won't shine, the split fingers, summertime, split fingers, sun won't shine. Like gradually overhead.
Truman's Water, the first from them tonight in session. That's called All Wet West of Washington. And I'll tell you what other tracks are coming up from them too. Long End of a Firearm, that's about 8.5 minutes long. That'll be the next one I play you. That'll be followed by Large Organs, no sniggering at the back, Seven Holes and Hair Junk Fiver. The band are Ely Moyle on drums, Kevin Brandstetter on bass and backing vocals, Glenn Galloway on guitar and vocals, Kirk Brandstetter on guitar and backing vocals, and Will Prentice on Bulgarian pipes on that track, and Long End of a Firearm when we get round to that. Here's a song which I suspect Truman's Water might well approve. It's by Tom Reeves.
I'm like a four-legged deer, I'm from pardon near just to see you walking the tall green grass. I'm like a big giraffe with a head so high from stretching my neck when you pass me by. I'm like a rattlesnake, I don't hesitate. I shake my rattles when you walk by the gate. I'm like a panther cat that's on the prowl for love, and when you come along, I scream to heaven above. I'm like a hungry lion that's king and proud, and when you come by, you got me sitting on a cloud. I'm like a great big ape that's looking for a date. When you come along, I wanna squeeze you like a grape. I'm like a mountain goat that's on an icy peak, and when you come along, I wanna slide to your feet. I'm like a crocodile that lies in the sun, and when you swim by, I wanna have some fun. Cave, and when you come along, I wanna be your slave. I'm like a great big camel with a hump in his back from shaking myself when you walk by my shack. Well, I hope someday that they'll turn me loose and I'll walk out the gate like a big bull moose. And if you are still hanging around, then we'll get married and settle down.
Heartwarming stuff indeed, and that's from Tom Reeves. Primitive Love is the title on Mr. Manicotti Records from the LP The Big Itch Volume 4, of which it is said, another treasury of beloved musical stylings. They're stealing my stuff. This is Oilseed Rape on Jackass Records from their EP Paid, and one of those things which I keep coming back to because, well, it's really rather unsettling generally.
We all know what you
Oilseed Rape, you may recall their excellent session for us from a few months ago. That was Rib Donor from their debut EP on Jackass Records. You may also recall a session some years ago from the Sex Clark 5 from Huntsville, Alabama. They've got a new LP on Skyclad Records called Antidiem. This is Love Me Much. Perky pop for now people from Huntsville, Alabama, Sex Clark 5, and that's Love Me Much from their LP Antidiem. I don't know anybody other than myself, actually, who likes the Sex Clark 5, either here or in America, but I persist with these things because that's the kind of guy I am. You'll hardly believe this, but every once in a while I've become so much of a dither that I forget which records I've played you, and I can't remember whether I've played you Censors Eject. If I have done, I certainly haven't played this mix of it, which is the Overzealous mix. This is on Ultimate Records.
Jesus said even he didn't know the exact time, but it's going to happen. One of these days, it could be any minute now, Christ is going to come back for his own. After that, it's going to be pretty awful, you know.
You consume me for malpractice. Every single time I check this, close the lower I go, the less I wanna know about the system brings through me like a bullet. You pull the trigger, then pull it a figure. I was an irritant or something irrelevant. You could ignore, or locking the door and more. Switching over to another station. A tower monument of disinformation. Beaming out on the current frequency. Propaganda in out on the pages daily. I see the system as it crumbles before me. Propaganda in out on the pages daily. I see the system as it crumbles before me. I see the system as it dies. All I check is all I see. Here before me, all I check is all I see. Here before me, all I check is all I see. My spirit is my science, I know all about the powers and so shouldn't show. So find another pigeon for your pigeonhole. Burn my body, show my name, hang me high in the hall of fame. What's so I will never get tame, and every blow just fans a flame. Position for the street meat, I'm for the top. Told us, they won't stop. Put all their piggy pennies in their piggy bank soul. They can consume it wherever they go. Sold like a sitcom, eat your whopper. I won't be another happy shopper. Be a good boy, ain't nothing fancy, know your famous better. Mama before the gun will send you dry and send your mama letter. You have to do to make it touch it, make it feel it. You've been altered and you can't conceal it. Press the button to eject from the cartoon frame of mind that won't connect. Press the button to eject from the cartoon frame of mind that won't connect.
Check the program, check the power, let the nature flow, let the color fly. Check the program, check the power, let the nature flow, let the color fly. Reject the program, reject the power, let the nature flow, let the color fly. Reject the program, reject the power, let the nature flow, let the color fly.
Uncompromising stuff from Censor on Ultimate Records. That's called Eject, the overzealous mix. After the news, it'll be Polvo, and in the rest of the programme, I've got stuff from Swirlies, Lone Ranger, Fly Ashtray, Bridesmaid Acid, Terra Fabulous, The Fall, Brian Sewell, perhaps rather surprisingly, Blade, Tiger Trap, Camille Howard, Captain Jesus and his pals, Simba Wanyika, Moonshake, and, as we say, much, much more. But now it's 11:30 on 24-hour 1FM, and that's time for the news.
News on 1FM with Christina Harley. The future of Britain's forces in Bosnia is in the balance tonight after British soldiers killed a Croat fighter threatening a Muslim aid convoy. The British commander, Lieutenant Colonel Alistair Duncan, has put his troops on alert because of fears of possible retaliation. American warplanes and some 2,000 troops are on standby to go to Somalia, possibly to lead a strike against the country's main warlord, General Aidid. The UN believe his forces killed 23 of their peacekeepers. From Washington, Jeremy Harris.
Pentagon officials say an amphibious assault ship and several other vessels with more than 4,000 Marines and sailors have been ordered to the Straits of Hormuz to await possible deployment in Somalia. They had been taking part in joint exercises in Kuwait. These have been cut short. Officials in Washington described the move as prudent planning due to the increased tension in Mogadishu.
The actor Bernard Breslow, famous for his parts in Carry On films, has died. He was 59. He collapsed this evening in the dressing room of the open-air theatre in London's Regent's Park. Hundreds of people in North and West Wales are spending a second night away from their homes after the flash floods. Local councils say the cost of the floods runs into millions. Welsh Secretary John Redwood says the situation is being assessed.
I want to see on the ground how much damage has been done, but of course the Welsh Office stands ready to help. I'm delighted by the response the Council and the emergency services have already made.
The County Council estimate £1 million has already been caused in damage just to roads alone.
I can't comment on that at the moment because we don't yet know the size of the damage, but of course, if it needs government help, then of course there will be government help.
Finally, 8 students from an Oxford college are in hot water tonight after holding a late-night training session in the nude. The cheeky chaps from St John's rode along the River Isis through Oxford city centre, with their naked trainer barking instructions from his bicycle. They eventually had to don clothes when police were called. 1FM News, I'll be back with an update in an hour.
Tilebreaker by Polvo from their LP Today's Active Lifestyle, and regular listeners may recall my bragging rather unpleasantly a couple of weeks ago about having been one of 17 people, 15 adults and 2 children, who saw them play live in a record shop in Hanway Street in the West End, the bustling West End indeed, of London. And the next Peel family outing is going to be the Wild Club, in which what Polvo doubtless think of as Norwich, in a couple of weeks' time, to see them play again. I look forward to that. One of the things I always dread, in a way, about bands that I really like becoming hugely famous is they seem to stop doing anything, really. I mean, obviously a lot of them get into kind of serious drug abuse and disappear by and large, but the bands that you care for, as I say, it's distressing when they become famous and don't make records anymore. Whatever became of My Bloody Valentine? Are they still there, out there somewhere? This is Drive It All Over Me. From 1988 and from the EP Thorn on Creation Records, My Bloody Valentine, Drive It All Over Me. And the first time we heard Ecstasy of St. Teresa, they sounded pretty much like My Bloody Valentine, their debut 12-inch EP, you may recall, tracks indeed from the LP that I brought back from Prague last autumn. But they don't sound much like them any longer, and they're in session tonight. And the session, as you probably realise by now, has been issued as a 10-inch EP. And but there's no reason not to play it again, of course. And this is Fluidum. It does start very quietly indeed, but on the other hand, there's not a lot of point in my talking over it, because clearly, if that had been their intention, they'd have got me into the studio to do it in the studio.
Over me.
I don't believe this. A stranger walks into the life of another man and tries to tell him what to do. Hey yo, check this. You can't tell him what to do. Let him make up his own mind. That's the way it goes. Bring it. That's the sounds of the lyrical, working on the track for 93. Check it any way you can. The sounds of a crack, slamming in the back to back. Take it back or get back. There's no slackness as we search for beats. Hit the streets, rules and principles. Stand in the way, but we ain't selling down the river. Stand and deliver. There's nothing for the soft and smooth. Still we bust the rhymes and bust the move. Back to basics, make it simple. 110 beats the tempo. Some know, but they just can't face it. Still I memorize the words and steady pace it. Stack them in a pile, change the style. Give it a chance to get crazy wild. Know what it's like to be penniless. Give it a rest, get the troubles off your chest. Do it any way you can. Do it any way you can. Be a man. Take it from AD, a man of his word. One of the few who should have been heard. Culture-minded, fools are blinded. Play the tape, spin the wax, the winding. The South is back on the streets again. Take it to the edge. Something for power play, no edits for the radio. No cash for the video. Here we go again, is the line that you'll repeat. Stand at the front or grab a seat. Here's what they suggest. Keep cool, don't worry about the rest. Care for number one just to get a sell, but to me that's as good as a blackmail. It's better than the ones they fabricate. Take a trip to the west before 8. Stop the interfering, here's the 33. What you're hearing, come see. It's not a musical, but you can treat it like one, and that's how you feel, son. We're the guys from the third world, but that shit is absurd. First, second, third, it's all the same. Everyone in the world has a name. Peter Piper, Jack the Ripper, Little Jack Horner played the rhymer. Now you see. Who's the one playing the records for all time's sake? I'm not a swinger, I'm afraid. Who's the one, huh? Damn. Had me up against the wall, so I kicked down doors. Too many without a cause, but I had a reason to stop the teasing. Here's another season. Women in miniskirts, men in t-shirts. In your face they kick dirt. And every day seems like a long vacation without the satisfaction. Where's the action? Me, I'm getting bored stiff. This is all I got to live with. Music, music, music slamming in your brain cell. Tell them to go to hell. As as we rock well, see how many fell. Millions can tell. This is not the one they can victimize. They can try but never know it's the 45. Finally, here's the vinyl, solid as a rock. The hands move around the clock. Tick tock, I hear your mother calling. Get away, bang a drum, keep it rolling. Keep it rolling, keep it rolling, keep it rolling, keep it rolling. The South is back on the streets again. Take it to the edge. Bring it back. Take it to the edge. Sure, sure. We're gonna take it to the edge. I gotta scream and yell 'cause I'm mad. Rock steady.
That's Blade, a track from the double LP, The Lion Goes From Strength to Strength. Take It to the Edge was the title of that one. And if I don't fade that down, you're going to get more, I think. Take It to the Edge, as I say, on 69 or 691 Influential Records, his own label. Before that, and rather cleverly segued, I felt, Ecstasy of St. Teresa and Fluidum. Two more from them before the end of the programme. And here's another one from Truman's Water, the longest one that they've done for us. Long End of a Firearm. That's Truman's Water saying blah, 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 to life, and long may they continue to do so. Long End of a Firearm is the title of that. Well, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. It's down at the end of Lonely Street. It's Heartbreak Avenue. So close.
There ain't no spring, winter or fall. The town I live in don't see summer at all. The streets are made of muddy red clay, and the way I feel brings on a cloudy day. I live in a sad town. Sad, sad town. Baby, what a bad town. Now listen to me. I would give a lifetime just to get away from this town. Heartbreak Avenue is where you find me. Teardrop Road is my old used to be. Whoa, but I'll escape. No one is chaining me. With thin walls around the city street, I live in a sad town. People, let me tell you what a bad town. I would give a lifetime just to get away from this town. Whoa, yes I will. Whoa, yes I will. Now listen, baby. People come together in a tiny room, keeping warm by the gas lamp and breathing the fume. Watching my poor woman looking tired and warm. Make me cry for the thing was born. Heartbreak Avenue. Heartbreak Avenue. Heartbreak Avenue is where you find me. When I'm pushing out, baby, I've gotta find a better place. Cause there ain't no future just hanging around here. On Heartbreak Avenue is where I live. I live in a sad town. People, let me tell you what a bad town. Now listen to me. I would give a lifetime just to get away from this town. Heartbreak Avenue, baby. I've gotta get out and find myself a job. I'm looking at my woman looking proud and warm. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I've got to get off Heartbreak Avenue. I got to get off Heartbreak Avenue. Off Heartbreak Avenue.
By Jove, you get some clever introductions on this programme. That's Bobby Long and the Dealers, another one of those records which have become known as search records. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can't be bothered to explain it. But a 7-inch on Old Town Records and probably pretty damned collectible. That's called Heartbreak Avenue. And now to the Phantom 50. We're up to number 7, and this is for our Alexandra, who seems to be modelling herself, or wish to model herself, on Courtney Love. Not much wrong with that, in my estimation. This is Burn Black.
You say you remember, baby, you forget.
Rum Tum Tum, 3 times she shot him right through that hardwood door. That's Hole, number 7 in the Phantom 50 with Burn Black. When it first came out, actually, as a single on Sub Pop, it was called Blackburn, and I preferred it as Blackburn because I thought it was something clever along, you know, like holes in Blackburn, Lancashire, but obviously nothing of the sort. That's on City Slang Records. And now on Nature Notes, the plaintive cry of the white-throated goshawk.
Recess heaven.
Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl, but she changes from day to day. I want to tell her that I love her a lot, but I got a belly full of wine. Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl. Someday I'm going to make her mine. Oh, yeah, someday I'm going to make her mine.
Monsters are
segues to make the very guards in heaven rejoice. I would do more, but I don't want to drive you mad with excitement. The first of the 4 tracks there, Girly Loop, Moonshake, from their EP on 2 Pure Records, Big Good Angel, you probably recognise that. That was followed by Sea Tank from a double 12-inch package on Overdrive Records, Nightmares of Reality, and Drug Trash was the title there. It was Brian Sewell reading out the words of Her Majesty, and that's on one of those Exotica compilations. You know, the football stuff, which has been played to death on these programmes over the years. This is their first Beatles Bits and Pieces compilation. They don't call it that, of course. It's called The Exotic Beatles Part 1, and there'll be more tracks from that, of course. And then it was Heavens to Betsy from a 7-inch EP on Kill Rockstars Records, and that track was Monsters. And all of this brings us to the next from Ecstasy of St. Teresa in Session, Alpha Centauri. Ecstasy of St. Teresa from Prague in the Czech Republic, and that's called Alpha Centauri. And I've got a note somewhere. I hate DJs that do this and they lean away from the microphone and so on, but every once in a while it's essential. Go Discs are releasing this session as an EP on the 28th of June entitled Fluid Trans Centauri, all one word, and it says also they will be coming over late July to do some gigs. I suspect that rather than Go Discs coming over here because they're there already, although that's the sense of it. Sorry, I'm being incredibly pedantic here. What a twerp. Ecstasy of hear St. Teresa coming over, though, at the end of July. We'll try and get him in to do another session as well. Tonight, amongst other things, Truman's Water, and from them, these are Large Organs. Stirring stuff. That's Truman's Water in session and Large Organs. And next week, tomorrow night's sessions come from the new Bomb Turks. They describe it as high energy noise out of Columbus, Ohio, and a repeat of the recent and I think 16th or possibly 17th session from the fall. This is NSO Force.
Yo, West London in the house. What? No, West London, y'all stop. South London in the house. Y'all South London in the house. East London in the house. Nah, y'all stop. West London, what's up with that? What's up with that? Yo, lay low. What's up with that? What's up with that?
I'm in too deep, so to sleep will be fatal. This time I can't lose, so I choose not to be another fable. I got the strength to obtain my goal. Where fools rush in, I take my time and I stroll. When I come around, I make you comprehend. It's a hard-headed nigga back to re-offend. And I blend when I send with regards on the force. Ain't taking no shit, no more, no more. Well, it's a black thing, baby, when they chase you down. Try to make you respect, try to slave you down. So when I go to work, I don't act like a puppet. And if I was a punker, I get props and I would chuck it like a muppet. Like I made it big time. Move to Battersea and eat caviar and swine. Forget about Marcus, Malcolm and Huey. My culture, my roots, my music and the true me. But my conscience wouldn't give me no sleep. So now I can't turn back. I guess I'm in too deep.
They've created a world of illusion to keep the people in confusion. Now the only solution is revolution.
I'm too deep. Say yo, don't get so deep. I'm too deep. But I have to get deep.
Yo,
my people are deep.
hold tight, we still gon'
Know where I'm from is a place I stay low. How low? Very low in a place known as lay low. Most of the year, I tell you, life is bleak. You gotta watch your back and also watch who you speak. Don't take me for no fool when you see me on the street. Just be naturally you. Don't try and come on a sneak. Well, it's a crazy shit. All don't know how to whack. And it's mostly ourselves that hold each other back. We're in too deep, but it's not too late. You're born to love, then we're taught to hate. I'll never forget, but I won't let it stop me. Rising out the pit of wit, never sloppy or fake. Nothing told me through the speaker, cause rap is a lot cheaper than the name on your sneaker. So don't try and come up with a stereo, cause it's weak. We can't regress. I guess we're in too deep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
Yo,
I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
yo,
I'm too deep, I'm too deep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
yo,
We're in too deep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
yo.
I'm too deep, I'm too deep. In too deep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
Hold tight, take it over, right?
I feel good when it's time to wreck. But before I do, I always run a check. One day at a time, step by step. Cause I don't play around, so let a brother flex. Cause I get down like the theme from Foxy Brown. Broke as a joke before this came around. I was on the lay low, look at my payload. When I'm doing my music, you don't see me cause I stay low. Exercise my mind is the thing that I love. The force is back, comes a chapter of dub. On the rise, time to earn our keep. Going all the way, cause we're in too deep.
Now they're talking about the new world order, but it's the same old disorder. Over 400 years of backward thinking.
I'm in too deep. I've come too far, I'm up to my neck. Sometimes I get so vexed, it seems I can't recollect. So here we go with the flow from down below. Deep from undercover with my brother from the NSO. Every single day I pay my dues. I take another step on the road that I choose. I'm on the brink of survival. On arrival is a new test. Never mind the rest, cause you know we got to do best. Kick that back from the start, from the heart, from the root of the matter. Got no time for chit chatter. Got to keep on going, flowing. Got to keep it on the tip. Keep a grip, keep a hold, keep control. Yeah, you got to have soul to survive in the valley. I never did dilly-dally when I'm rolling through the alley. Keep my pride in my pocket, don't sell it on the cheap. We're back from the source, and we're in too deep, 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 deep.
I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
Yo,
I'm too deep,
yo,
I'm too
West
deep.
London in the house.
I'm too deep, I'm too deep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
Hold tight, we still gon' rock.
Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
A new world order.
Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
On Ticking Time Records, that's NSO Force, and it's called In Too Deep. It's 12:30 on 24-hour 1FM, and time for the news.
1FM News at 12:30. I'm Christina Harley. The future of the UN peacekeeping force in Bosnia could be in doubt after British troops killed a Croatian fighter and seriously wounded another. British forces have been put on high alert. British heroism in Bosnia has been acknowledged in the Queen's Birthday Honours List, which has just been published. Lieutenant Colonel Bob Stewart of the Cheshire Regiment is awarded a Distinguished Service Order, second only to the Victoria Cross. Film director Sir Richard Attenborough is a New Life peer, and there are OBEs for actors David Jason and Patricia Routledge. Snooker player Stephen Hendry gets an MBE. American warplanes and around 2,000 troops are on standby to go to Somalia, possibly to lead a strike against the country's main warlord, General Aidid. The UN believe his forces killed 23 of their peacekeepers. The actor Bernard Breslow, famous for his parts in Carry On films, has died. He was 59. He collapsed in the dressing room of the open-air theatre in Regent's Park. Finally, hundreds of people in Wales are spending another night away from home after the flash floods. Police say the floods are easing, but more rain is expected. 1FM News, I'll be back with more at 1:30.
sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda nakupenda bibi nakupenda silingo sijapata mwingine kushinda wewe mama kushinda wewe bibi kushinda wewe mama nasema nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama maji ya moto hayachemi nyumba maneno matupu sili hayavunji pupa wacha waseme mchana usiku watalala nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda nakupenda bibi nakupenda nakupenda sini sijapata wengine kushinda wewe mama kushinda wewe silingo kushinda wewe mama nasema nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama usiku watalala nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda nakupenda bibi nakupenda sini sijapata mwingine kushinda wewe mama go kushinda wewe mama nasema nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda oh sheri nakupenda mama sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda mami I love you sheri nakupenda mama nakupenda mama I love you sheri.
And I love you too. That's Simba Wanyika on Chameleon Records from Holland, a CD called Pepea, P-E-P-E-A, and Nakupenda Sheri. And these are the Speaking Canaries, whose publishing company has a perfectly disgusting name, which I can't give you on the radio, but from an LP on Mind Cure Records called The Joy of Wine, this is Burning Loose.
Sometimes
From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or at least their record company is. Those are the Speaking Canaries, and if I was as nimble-witted as I should be, I think there's something hilarious to say about Norwich City, but I'll move on, I think. I'll just tell you that the track was called Burning Loose. And I mentioned earlier on that the Fall are in session tomorrow night, repeated their recent session for the programme, and here they are, recorded when you were still wearing those astonishing pantaloons I remember speaking to your mother about.
The X in Xmas is a substitute crucifix for Christ. A 1, 2, 3, 4. No Christmas for donkey. No Christmas for donkey. No Christmas for donkey. No Christmas for donkeys. I want Paul's reacher and Paul's teacher. When you find they can reach you. There is no Christmas for donkey. He thinks he is more interesting than the world. About 5, 6, don't live in a world. Back in the 355s, 555. Back in the notes over there, and 20 special offer stickers. And 20 special offer stickers. Phone talking to the cigarette machine. It's a nicotinic acid. Good King Wenceslas dropped out. Silly bugger, he fell out. He spits in the sky, it falls in his eye, and then he gets to sitting, talking to his kitten. And talking about Frankie Lyman. Tell me why is it so? Tell me why is it so? Alex makes with the idle race out of the room with his shoe. Although the skins are thin, he knows it's up to him to go out or stay in. I'll 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 stay in. You, me, Xmas, Xmas.
First, the rhythm guitar. I will call out the chords.
1, 2, 3, 4.
A, D, E, D, A, D, E, D, A, D, E, D, A, D,
It's all made of gold. 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 It's all made of gold.
You shall still refuse to worship your idol.
It's all made of gold. It's all made of gold. It's all made of gold. It's all made of gold.
You shall still refuse to worship your idol. You shall still refuse to worship your idol. You shall still refuse to worship your idol. You shall still refuse to worship your idol.
It's all made of gold.
You shall still refuse to worship your idol. 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 You shall still refuse to worship.
step from the furnace. Come out and stand before me.
That's a New Decade, a record I rather care for too. It's called Statue of Gold and it's on Out of Romford Records, and if you were listening last weekend I gave you the address for that, but I'll do it again. It's Out of Romford Records, 52 Rockingham Avenue, Hornchurch, Essex, RM 111HH. That's 52 Rockingham Avenue, Hornchurch, Essex, RM 111HH. Stamped addressed envelope, I suggest, so you won't get the record in, but you get the information about it. And this is, so before that, of course, it was The Fall, but this is Captain Jesus and the Sunray Dream. Oh, what a wonderful world is the world of Rockaboogie. That's Captain Jesus and the Sunray Dream from an LP on Criminal Records, which I take to be their own label, Anarchy in the USA, and I'll give you an address for that as well. Stamp addressed envelopes as previously to 9 Rombalds Grove, Rombalds Grove, Armley, Leeds 12, Yorkshire. 9 Rombalds Grove, Armley, Leeds 12. I'm sure they'll be pleased to hear from you. Here's a little number from Terra Fabulous.
It no matter if you're a dog or a rude boy, it no matter. I have a prayer, I'll make it. Alright, Terra Fabulous one. Take this. See ya. What me say? So me say, how many morning wanna get up and pray? Thank Father God for see a shining day. Not one, everybody shout hip hooray. Every man want go for them own away, but cool. Who know fi drop it, will leap and them attack, but some a false prophet. Them hold the blade, but we hold the angle. Somehow, good must conquer evil. So everybody look and listen. Sword in my hand when shine and a glisten. Ready me ready, we go fight any battle. And I'm a back it if no, not the devil. Pop me from the iniquity, them with them trouble. Shout it out loud, pan the double. Again, how many morning wanna get up and pray? Thank Father God to see a shining day. Not one, everybody shout hip hooray. Every man who want go for them own away, but cool. Who know fi drop it, will leap and them attack, but some a false prophet. Them hold the blade, but we hold the angle. Somehow, good must conquer evil. Me say will leap and things me hear, but enough me want know. Some of them say them your friend, and nothing evil blow. Show you're moving up, and you now move slow. You have a black heart, I'll do your haters slow. For all the wicked and the backbite and them who God bless. No man can curse me friend again. How many morning wanna get up and pray? Thank Father God for say a shining day. Not one, everybody shout hip hooray. Each man want go for them own away, but cool. Who know fi drop it, will leap and them attack, but some a false prophet. Them hold the blade, but we hold the angle. Somehow, good must conquer evil. See ya, hear me, oh Lord, attend to my cry. Enough back and bite and I hold up on them lie. I give them father, give them a next blind. Them under bandage, I hold up on them and get tight. Show me don't fear no man, me turn me head to the sky. One fabulous, say don't ask me why. How many morning wanna get up and pray? Thank Father God for see a shining day. Not one, everybody shout hip hooray. Every man want go for them own away, but cool. Who know fi drop it, will leap and them attack, but some a false prophet. Them hold the blade, but we hold the angle. Somehow, good must conquer evil. See ya, everybody look and listen. Sword in me hand well shine and a glisten. Ready me ready, we go fight any battle. God I'm a back it if no not the devil. Back me from the iniquity, them with them trouble. Shout it out loud, pan the double. Again, how many morning wanna get up and pray? Thank Father God to see a shining day. Not one, everybody shout hip hooray. Every man want go for them own away. Well, heap of things me hear, but enough me want know. Some of them say them your friend, and nothing even blow. So you're moving up, and you now move slow. You have a black heart, and do your haters slow. For all the wicked and the backbiter, them who God bless. No man can curse me friend again. How many morning wanna get up and pray? Thank Father God to see a shining day. Not one, everybody shout hip hooray. Every man want go for them own away, but
Mr. and Mrs. Fabulous's Little Terror on Scorpio Records with Drop It Cool. And here's another from Truman's Water. Blimey. Further fidgetings from Truman's Water in session on the Peel Wing Ding, and that's called Seven Holes. This is Alluring Strange. Alluring Strange on Veracity Records from a CD called Love Is My Only Crime. That's the beginning of the next track as a little bonus. Prison Love is the title of that. There's a sticker on the front of it which says 21 unreleased love songs from Townes Van Zandt, Charlie Feathers, Sylvia Juncosa, Alex Chilton, Mo Tucker, FSK, Tav Falco and more. And the mention of Mo Tucker gives me the opportunity to remind you, those people who've written to me or phoned me or have bumped into somewhere and said, are you going to get the Velvet Underground in for a session? We made every conceivable effort to do this, and I really crept, you know. We sent messages along the lines of, I'm not quite sure that it was true, but it might well have been that I was the first person to play their stuff on the radio and played it extensively, when the first LP came out in 1967 and all that kind of stuff. And in their warm-hearted way, they've completely ignored, actually, all of our requests, haven't replied to phone calls or letters or indeed anything else. So we've done what we can and have got nowhere, I regret to say. Ecstasy of St. Teresa, they turned up, though, and this is Trance Between the Stars. Ecstasy of St. Teresa in session, and that's called Trance Between the Stars. Let me remind you again that tomorrow night's sessions come from the New Bomb Turks from Columbus, Ohio, and a repeat of the session from the fall. The weekend after that, it's Huggy Bear and Dr. Fibes and the House of Wax Equations. The weekend, that's on Friday. And then on Saturday, Tsunami, who describe themselves as a Daffy Lala band from Arlington, Virginia. Well, that's their business, of course. And the Ukrainians from the Ukrainian part of Leeds, as they point out. And when I was being Jackie Brambles a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, I got a lot of letters from people on faxes and things asking about some of the records that were played in the programme, sort of stuff which perhaps might not normally get played on Jackie's programme. And of all of the records that I got letters about, I got more about, I actually know the catalogue number of it off by heart now. It's Ace CD CHD 422. You can write that down if you like, Ace CD CHD 422. It is, perhaps not surprisingly, by Camille Howard, or at least she features quite a lot on it. Of course, bellowing through microphones at me in a thoroughly fall-like manner certainly helps. That's Bridesmaid Acid. What an excellent record it is. Hanny Bear and Paula Echo on Outcast Clan Records, and that's called Flying Over Frankfurt. Before that, from the CD Legends of Boogie Woogie, or Specialty Legends of Boogie Woogie, to give it its full title, Fireball Boogie, that's Camille Howard on Ace Records, as I say, CD CHD 422. And to think that I was 53 years old before I ever heard Camille Howard. I could have died without hearing her. 54, of course, on August the 30th, if you'd like to jot that down in your diaries. And this is John Boy. Well, they're noisy little fiends, are they not? That's John Boy and Sourmouth, and it comes from an LP on Trans Syndicate Records called Love and Napalm, which also features the Cherubs, Crust, Drain, Ed Hall and Paintings, but the John Boy tracks are the best ones on there, I think. It's 1:30 on 24 Hour 1FM, and time for the news.
1FM News, I'm Christina Harley. The Queen's Birthday Honours List is out this morning. There's greater recognition for ordinary members of the public and awards for bravery in Bosnia. The details from 1FM's Josh Hales.
Ordinary people who do good work so no longer get a British Empire Medal. That's been scrapped in John Major's drive for a classless society. Now they're made MBEs, like some of the more important people. Among famous names, Sir Richard Attenborough is a new life peer. There are OBEs for David Jason and Patricia Routledge, and an MBE for snooker player Stephen Hendry. Our boys in Bosnia aren't forgotten. Among those recognised is the former commander of British forces, Lieutenant Colonel Bob Stewart, who gets a rare Distinguished Service Order, second only to the Victoria Cross.
The Defence Secretary Malcolm Rifkind has ruled out withdrawing British troops from Bosnia following the shooting of Croatian gunmen by British forces. But he said the situation on the ground is being closely watched. There are increasing signs that the Americans are preparing to lead a strike against Somalia's main warlord, General Aidid. The Pentagon's confirmed that 2,000 troops are being diverted from the Gulf to Somalia. 1FM News, I'll have an update at 2:30.
There's an LP for your birthday list, if you ask me. The LP is called Blonder Tongue Audio Baton. It's by the Swirlies on Tang Records, and that's called Park the Car by the Side of the Road. When I was 13 or 14 years old, I was a romantic little chap, and one of the songs that I particularly cared for at the time, because it expressed, in a kind of nameless way, you know, a lot of the things that I was feeling, was called That's My Desire.
To spend one night with you, it all right, to reminisce with you, that's my desire, to dance where gypsies play and let our hearts go sway down in that dim cafe. That's my desire, to sip a little glass of wine, to gaze into your eyes divine, to feel the thrill of your kiss while pressing your lips real close to mine, to hear you whisper low just when it's time to go. Darling, I love you so. That's my desire. To hear you whisper low just when it's time to go. Darling, I love you so. That's my desire.
Of course, when I was 13, I didn't have an old rendezvous, or indeed a new rendezvous, and the idea of spending the night with somebody would have been absolutely appalling. I wouldn't have had the slightest idea what to do. Still not entirely convinced that I'd do. That's Hannah Brooks, and it comes from a CD, Romance in the Dark, originally from 1947. That's My Desire. And this is the last tonight from Truman's Water, Hair Junk Fiver. pretty riotous session, I think, and hopefully the first of many, well, quite a few. Truman's Water, and that's called Hair Junk Fiver, and this is Star Power.
Well, here comes physical shack attack, but I don't believe on the top of the blue lines, job. Physical this guy goes to the chamber of the wall, you know. Got to live enough life and identity and run goddamn ignorance, you know. Cut it. Yeah. Said I, out of them come, is it out of them fall? The hour of them come, is the hour of them fall. Forgetting on the ball, and don't you ever really stall. Forgetting in the groove, and don't you ever be so rude. Me say fi go out with the jive and wow. Mississippi back with the tribal war. Sound say go well with your fussing and fighting. Me say me go well with your damn backbiting. Me say me carry go bring, come you bring misery. Carry go bring, come you bring misery. But soon you got to really learn to live in love and unity. Say go on with the tribal war. Me say me go on with the tribal war. But I tell you say me go on with your fussing and fighting. Me say me go on with your damn backbiting. Me say me go on with your scandalizing. Yeah. Love is not the whole way really this today. But you got to come down, no baby, got to dig us in. But definitely go away, don't need that man to go away. Me say you check us, it's no fake, and then you hear on where she say, me say she go well with the tribal war. But me say me back there with the tribal war. Me say me go well with your pussy then fighting. Me say me go well with your damn backbiting. Me say me go well with your scandalizing. Yeah. Price of love is kinda lovely, ain't no war is kinda ugly. But got to make a love on baby, got to meet that one. Me say big say one with the tribal war. Sound say back with the tribal war. I see no matter who you be, I see no matter who you are. The time it now one boy you could have come in and walk on. Me say me go on with the tribal war. And me say me back with the tribal war. Say rata you Marakeli say to ban your belly. You Marakeli say to ban your belly because your son dead already. Sure say your son dead already, bracha man. Say rati come from country in a country choker. Say him a look a little walk and so him start take the choke and so him catch bad luck. Me say me go on with the tribal war. And me say me back with the tribal war. Me say me go where with you pussy them fighting. Me say me go where with you damn backbiting. Think I never see you when you jump up on the wall. Think I never see you when you bust your bits. I got this in my hit neck. You nearly broke your neck. Me say my hit neck. You nearly broke your neck. Me say me go on with the tribal war. And me say me go on with the tribal war. Sound say go on with your pussy them fighting. Me say me go on with your damn backbiting. Tell me say hands and hearts are poor and clean. To rally around till I see gold and give me say me go there with your item queen. Mommy say me go there with your item queen. Until you say me go on with your pussy them fighting. But I still gotta make peace, love and unity. And one who got down ignorance in our community, I would say. Until you say me go on with your tribal war. Sound say back with the tribal war. Say Rami Sata in me house and me no run down me mouth. Sata in me house and me no run down me mouth.
Bit of a scratch on that, you may have spotted it. That's the Lone Ranger from a few years ago on Spider-Man Records, always one of my favourite labels, No Tribal War. And the more astute listeners amongst you, may have, or regular listeners anyway, may have spotted the fact that most of the reggae tunes I've been playing here recently have been old ones, and this is because, well, I've not had any good new ones, really. That's what it comes down to. Before that, it was Star Power on Visionary Records and a 12-inch called Drifter. And if you want to get in touch with them to discover more about the band or the record, or indeed the record label, I suppose, you can write to Star Power, Post Office Box 2535, London N1 2EY. I know it's a bit late at night we're writing addresses down, but you might have a go at it. Post Office Box 2535, London N1 2EY. And this is Fly Ashtray, a track from their 10-inch LP on Hemiola Records of Leeds. The LP is called Let's Have Some Crate. And this has one of those titles which is just, in some peculiar way, wonderful. It has no meaning at all, but as soon as I saw it written on the sleeve, I thought, well, I'm going to play them that one no matter what. This is Owl Mound. A seriously confusing little item there, because it sounds at the wrong speed at the beginning and at the end as well. Perhaps it should be some kind of intermediate speed between 33 and a third and 45. That's Fly Ashtray on Hemiolo Records. Let's Have Some Crate, a 10-inch LP, and that was the excellent Owl Mound. Right, what have I got for you now? The last record in tonight's programme comes from, again, it's one of those things, I'm not absolutely certain what is the title, what's the name of the record label, and what's the who is the artiste, but I think it's probably 99.9 by Koenig Cylinders on Industrial Strength Records. We'll settle for that for the time being, anyway. Very sound of chairs squeaking there in the background. This is one of those records which actually I played at both speeds, 33 and 45, and I rather preferred it at 45, but it does say 33 and a third on the label, so we've done that tonight. On Industrial Strength Records, I think, Koenig cylinders, and that's 99.9. Tomorrow night's sessions come from The Fall, that's a repeat, and the Radio 1 debut of the new Bomb Turks, and, well, that's about it. Thanks very much for listening. Over to you, Lynn.
The 90s Station 1 or the 90s Nation F, the non-stop music station M of devastation.